Cereal is cereal, right? Just grab whatever's on sale at Loblaws or Walmart, and you're good to go. Wrong. After spending months researching the North American cereal industry, reading through independent lab reports, and digging into class action lawsuits, I'm genuinely concerned about what most Canadians are feeding their families every morning. Some of these cereals are loaded with pesticides linked to cancer. Some contain preservatives banned in other countries, and others are complete scams, marketing themselves as heart-healthy while packing more sugar than a chocolate bar. This isn't about being paranoid or a health nut. This is about knowing what you're actually putting in your body when you pour a bowl of cereal for yourself or your kids. The Canadian breakfast cereal market is worth over $1.5 billion annually, and it's built on deception, clever marketing, and ingredients that have no business being in your food. Research from the University of Toronto found that child-targeted cereals are 3 times more likely to be categorized as less healthy than adult cereals. A study in the Canadian Journal of Public Health found that 92% of cereals marketed to kids in Canada have excessive amounts of sugar. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which brands to avoid and why they should genuinely concern you. Number 8. Cheerios. Cheerios positions itself as Canada's heart-healthy cereal. That little heart symbol on the box, the whole grain oat claims, the messaging about lowering cholesterol. At around $5 for a standard box, you're paying for what you think is a nutritious breakfast choice. But here's what General Mills doesn't want you to know. In February 2024, General Mills was hit with a class action lawsuit after independent lab testing found that Cheerios contains dangerous levels of chlormequat chloride, a pesticide linked to reduced fertility, fetal development issues, and reproductive system damage in animal studies. The Environmental Working Group found chlormequat in concentrations exceeding what they consider safe for daily consumption. But chlormequat isn't even the biggest scandal. The Environmental Working Group has been testing Cheerios for years and consistently finding elevated levels of glyphosate, the controversial herbicide classified as a probable human carcinogen by the World Health Organization. In 2019, EWG testing found Cheerios contained 729 parts per billion of glyphosate. Their children's health benchmark is just 160 parts per billion. That's over 4 times what scientists consider safe for children. General Mills claims their products meet regulatory safety levels. But here's the catch. The FDA allows glyphosate levels in oats at 30,000 parts per billion. That regulatory standard was set based on industry data, not independent health research. The glyphosate gets into Cheerios because farmers spray it directly on oat crops just before harvest as a drying agent. It kills the plant, making harvesting easier. But it also means the chemical ends up concentrated in your breakfast bowl. And those heart-healthy claims? General Mills faced a class action lawsuit alleging their cereals were deceptively marketed as healthy while containing high amounts of sugar. Companies exploit regulatory loopholes ruthlessly. When your healthy cereal contains probable carcinogens, healthy becomes meaningless. Number 7. Honey Nut Cheerios. If regular Cheerios is problematic, Honey Nut Cheerios is that problem multiplied. At around $5 to $6 per box, you're paying premium prices for what is essentially candy marketed as heart-healthy breakfast food. Let's break down the honey myth. The name Honey Nut Cheerios implies you're getting a natural, wholesome product sweetened with honey. But look at the actual ingredient list. Sugar comes before honey. You're not eating a honey-sweetened cereal. You're eating a sugar-sweetened cereal with some honey sprinkled in for marketing purposes. The Environmental Working Group found that Honey Nut Cheerios Medley Crunch contained 833 parts per billion of glyphosate. That's more than 5 times the EWG's children's health benchmark. And this is a cereal specifically marketed to families and children. The 2024 chlormequat lawsuit specifically named Honey Nut Cheerios as one of the contaminated products. Independent lab analysis confirmed the presence of this reproductive toxicant in multiple Cheerios varieties. You're feeding your kids pesticides linked to fertility problems with their morning breakfast. And the nut part? There are no actual nuts in Honey Nut Cheerios. 0. It's natural almond flavoring doing the heavy lifting. You're paying premium prices for artificial flavoring and marketing deception. A single serving has 12 grams of sugar, but studies show children typically eat far more than the recommended serving size. Research found that children actually consume about 60 grams of cereal per sitting, not the 28-gram serving listed on the box. That means kids are getting nearly double the sugar the label suggests. Starting children's days with a blood sugar spike followed by a crash creates patterns of hyperactivity, attention problems, and increased cravings. Number 6. Frosted Flakes. Tony the Tiger has been telling us Frosted Flakes for over 70 years. But when you examine what's actually in that box, there's nothing great about it. At around $5 per box, you're paying for sugar-coated cornflakes that offer almost zero nutritional value. Let's look at the ingredients. The main components are milled corn and sugar. That's essentially it. There's almost no fiber, barely any protein, and the vitamins are all synthetic additions. 1 cup of Frosted Flakes contains 12 grams of added sugar, accounting for nearly 50% of the daily recommended maximum for young children. You're not feeding your kids breakfast. You're feeding them dessert. But sugar isn't why Frosted Flakes should worry Canadians. The real issues are the additives that Kellogg's uses. BHT, or butylated hydroxytoluene, is a synthetic preservative that's been added to Frosted Flakes. BHT has been linked to cancer in animal studies, and the Center for Science in the Public Interest classifies it as a caution ingredient that should be avoided. Here's what should infuriate you. Kellogg's sells different formulations in different countries. They've proven they can make the cereal without controversial preservatives, but North American versions often still contain them. In October 2024, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton announced an investigation into Kellogg's for potentially breaking consumer protection laws. The investigation focuses on the company's false claims about removing unhealthy artificial dyes and BHT from products. Kellogg's had announced they would remove these ingredients, but failed to do so in the United States. Former FDA food safety expert Dr. Darren Detweiler has specifically warned about Kellogg's cereals, noting they are heavily processed and contain high levels of added sugars and preservatives linked to health concerns. Number 5. Froot Loops. Froot Loops might be the most egregious cereal on this list. Those bright rainbow rings that children love, they're essentially a chemistry experiment disguised as breakfast. And a former FDA food safety expert has called Froot Loops the most dangerous cereal on the market. Dr. Darren Detweiler singled out Froot Loops as the worst of the worst, pointing out that the cereal is heavily processed and contains high levels of added sugars, artificial dyes, and preservatives linked to health concerns. Froot Loops contains red 40, yellow 5, yellow 6, and blue 1 artificial dyes derived from petroleum. These are the same chemical dyes that require warning labels across the European Union, stating they may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children. The California Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment conducted a 2-year study and found that food dyes like red 40 and yellow 5 pose significant risks to children when their brains are in critical stages of development. The report concluded that these dyes are associated with inattentiveness, hyperactivity, and restlessness in sensitive children. Here's the kicker. The Canadian version of Froot Loops uses concentrated fruit juices for coloring instead of petroleum-based dyes. Kellogg's reformulated the recipe for Canada, but the American version you might buy at border stores or online still contains artificial dyes. Froot Loops also contains BHT, the same controversial preservative found in Frosted Flakes, and with 12 grams of sugar per serving, which translates to about 18 grams in realistic portions, it's delivering nearly half a child's daily sugar limit before they leave for school. In October 2024, over 1,000 cereal lovers and health activists marched on Kellogg's Michigan headquarters, demanding the removal of harmful additives. More than 400,000 signatures were delivered, calling on the company to stop using artificial dyes and preservatives. If you're tired of cereal companies misleading Canadian shoppers about what they're really putting in their products, be sure to subscribe. The last 4 cereals on this list are even worse, and what I'm about to reveal could completely change the way you think about the breakfast foods in your pantry. Number 4. Rice Krispies. Rice Krispies seems innocent enough. Snap, crackle, and pop have been breakfast companions for generations. The simple puffed rice cereal appears basic and harmless, but there's a hidden danger lurking in every bowl that most consumers never consider: arsenic. Rice naturally absorbs arsenic from soil and water at rates much higher than other grains. And when you eat rice-based products regularly, that arsenic accumulates in your body. A Dartmouth study found that for every quarter cup of rice consumed daily, arsenic levels in children increased by about 15%. According to nutrition researchers, Rice Krispies is a major source of rice arsenic exposure. Testing conducted on Rice Krispies found inorganic arsenic levels ranging from 103 to 188 parts per billion. The European Union has been working to establish maximum levels for arsenic in rice products, with proposed limits for children's products at 100 parts per billion. Some Rice Krispies samples exceeded this threshold. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies inorganic arsenic as a Group 1 carcinogen, meaning there's sufficient evidence it causes cancer in humans. Chronic arsenic exposure has been linked to skin, bladder, and lung cancers, as well as cardiovascular disease and developmental effects in children. Professor Andy Maharg from Queen's University Belfast, who has studied arsenic in rice for years, called the scale of contamination really quite shocking. Rice Krispies also contains artificial colors in some formulations. The gluten-free version, made with brown rice, contains BHT added to packaging for freshness. Brown rice tends to have higher arsenic levels than white rice because arsenic concentrates in the bran layer. For Canadian consumers, this creates a troubling situation. You're feeding your family a cereal with measurable levels of a known carcinogen, and Health Canada's regulations on arsenic in food remain less stringent than European standards. Number 3. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is marketed as a fun, family-friendly cereal with real cinnamon in every bite. The squares covered in cinnamon sugar seem like a better choice than obviously sugary cereals, but this is one of the most deceptive products on Canadian supermarket shelves. A single serving of Cinnamon Toast Crunch contains 12 grams of added sugar, representing 24% of the daily recommended value. But children don't eat single servings. The Environmental Working Group calculated that cereals like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, which is 29% sugar by weight, actually deliver about 18 grams of sugar per realistic bowl. That's nearly the entire daily sugar allowance for a child in one meal. The cereal is marketed with guaranteed whole grain plastered across the box, creating an impression of health, but it's unclear how much whole grain actually survives the heavy processing. The product is so processed that nutritionists question whether any meaningful nutrition remains. What isn't listed prominently on the box are ingredients like BHT, the controversial preservative linked to cancer in animal studies. Cinnamon Toast Crunch also contains canola oil, which is highly processed and most likely derived from genetically modified crops. The artificial coloring includes caramel color, which can contain 4-methylimidazole, a chemical that California has identified as a potential carcinogen. The rice flour in Cinnamon Toast Crunch also raises arsenic concerns similar to Rice Krispies. Rice-based ingredients can contain elevated arsenic levels. In 2021, a bizarre incident went viral when an American writer found what appeared to be shrimp tails in his Cinnamon Toast Crunch. General Mills claimed they were an accumulation of cinnamon sugar, but the incident highlighted quality control issues and raised questions about what else might be contaminating these mass-produced cereals. For Canadian consumers accustomed to trusting food safety standards, Cinnamon Toast Crunch represents American food processing at its most misleading. You're told it's whole grain and wholesome. You're not told about the BHT, the processing concerns, or the arsenic risk from rice flour. Number 2. Corn Flakes. Corn Flakes is the original breakfast cereal created by Dr. John Harvey Kellogg in the late 19th century as a health food. At around $4 to $5 per box, it positions itself as a simple, wholesome option. But the modern Corn Flakes you're buying is far from the simple, healthy product it pretends to be. The most alarming hidden danger in cornflakes is something you won't find on any nutrition label: acrylamide. This chemical compound forms when starchy foods are cooked at high temperatures, a process that happens during cereal manufacturing. The International Agency for Research on Cancer has classified acrylamide as a probable human carcinogen. Research has found that cornflakes can contain acrylamide levels up to 1,186 micrograms per kilogram. These levels are significant enough that California considered requiring cancer warning labels on breakfast cereals containing acrylamide. The cereal industry fought this requirement and won. The acrylamide isn't necessary. It's a byproduct of industrial processing methods chosen for efficiency and cost, not for consumer health. Beyond acrylamide, modern cornflakes contain sugar, malt flavoring, and salt. The high carbohydrate content causes rapid blood sugar spikes, followed by crashes, leaving you hungry soon after eating. This is particularly concerning for people with diabetes or prediabetes. The processing strips away most of the natural nutrients found in whole corn. What's left is nutritionally inferior to whole grain alternatives. The vitamins and minerals listed on the box are synthetic additions, and your body may not absorb them as effectively as nutrients from whole foods. Kellogg's has been caught reducing fortification levels in their cereals in other markets to save money. In Mexico, researchers found that between 2013 and 2018, iron levels in cornflakes were halved and calcium was removed entirely. This defortification saved Kellogg's an estimated $85 million, while costing Mexico an estimated $250 million in societal health impacts. Number 1. Life. This is hands down the most deceptive cereal you can buy in Canada. And if you're eating this thinking it's a healthy choice, you need to stop immediately. Life is owned by Quaker, which is owned by PepsiCo. The marketing positions it as a wholesome, family-friendly breakfast. The name itself implies health, life, nutritious, delicious. At around $5 to $6 per box, you're paying for what appears to be one of the better options in the cereal aisle. But Quaker Oats, Life Cereal's parent company, has been at the center of multiple food safety crises. In February 2024, Quaker Oats was hit with a class action lawsuit alleging their oat-based products contain dangerously high levels of chlormiquat chloride, the same reproductive toxicant found in Cheerios. Independent testing found some Quaker products contained up to 300 parts per billion of chlormiquat, 10 times higher than what the Environmental Working Group considers safe for daily consumption. The chlormiquat lawsuit wasn't Quaker's first pesticide scandal. The company has faced multiple lawsuits over glyphosate contamination in their products. Testing consistently found glyphosate residues in Quaker Oats and cereals. But the pesticide problems pale compared to what happened in December 2023. Quaker Oats initiated a massive product recall due to salmonella contamination. The recall expanded in January 2024 to include over 90 products, including granola bars, granola cereals, and snack mixes. This was a food safety failure of staggering proportions. Salmonella can cause serious illness, including nausea, vomiting, bloody diarrhea, abdominal cramping, and fever. For young children, elderly people, and those with compromised immune systems, salmonella can be life-threatening. A 2024 study published in the Journal of Exposure Science found that 90% of urine samples collected from Americans in 2023 contained chlormiquat. The researchers traced the exposure primarily to oat-based products. This means chronic, ongoing contamination of the food supply. Life cereal contains the same oat ingredients implicated in these scandals. When you buy Life cereal, you're buying products from a company with a documented history of pesticide contamination, food safety failures, and regulatory problems. What makes Life cereal particularly offensive is the gap between its marketing and reality. Parents buy this cereal thinking they're making a responsible choice. The name, packaging, and messaging all reinforce this perception. But inside the box is a product from a company that can't keep salmonella out of its facilities. Here's what you need to understand about the cereal industry in Canada. It's built on deception and exploitation of consumer trust. Most breakfast cereals aren't the wholesome nutrition their packaging suggests. They're processed foods loaded with sugar, preserved with controversial chemicals, and contaminated with pesticides. Health Canada is introducing new front-of-package warning labels that will alert shoppers if a product is high in sugar, sodium, or saturated fat. Many of these cereals will carry these warnings. But we shouldn't need warning labels to know that cereals marketed to children are loaded with sugar. The cereal companies know exactly what they're doing. They spend millions on marketing to children while fighting against regulations that would require honest labeling. They remove controversial ingredients in European markets while keeping them in North American products. So what should you eat instead? If you must eat cereal, look for options with less than 6 grams of sugar per serving, at least 3 grams of fiber, no artificial dyes, and no BHT. Better yet, skip cereal entirely and eat real food for breakfast. Eggs, Greek yogurt with fresh fruit, oatmeal made from organic oats, or whole grain toast with nut butter provide sustained energy and actual nutrition. Look for organic brands that don't use synthetic pesticides. Check the ingredient list for whole foods you recognize rather than chemical additives. If this video opened your eyes to the breakfast cereal scam, smash that like button right now. Share this with everyone you know. Most Canadians have no idea they're feeding their families pesticide-contaminated, chemical-laden products disguised as healthy breakfast food.